Another thing you'll want to do with your kittens is get them used to playing with toys and not your hands too much. Some kittens can be a little bit nippy or bitey, and that's a normal kitten behaviour. It's what they would do to their litter mates. So with a kitten like this, he's really friendly, you don't have to worry too much. But if he gets really playful and starts playing a lot, he might start biting your hands. Behaviour like that you want to curb while they're little. You don't want them doing that, and then when they get to an adult cat you end up with bites and scratches and you end up at the doctor yourself. So a good way to do it is to play with toys when you're playing with him. So things like this little fishing rod toy, so it has a string with the toy on the end. And the kittens love them. So all you do is wave the toy around and you'll see the kitten starts playing. And it's a good way to distract them from things you don't want them to do. And kittens especially love this toy, but the adults like it as well. So playing with them at this young with toys like this gets them as adults to learn to play with them as well. But you can do it with just jingly toys too. So if you don't have a fishing rod toy at home, a jingle toy is really good to do it with. So if they start nipping or scratching your hands, or even your legs, some kittens will like climbing up your legs, you can throw the jingle ball. So you hear the noise, and he likes that noise. And you can roll the jingle ball, he'll start playing with that. It just distracts them long enough to get them away from your hands, and that's what you want. We'll have a look at getting your kitten to use a scratch post. We get a lot of people call us all the time about the kitten or the cat scratching your lounge or your furniture or your carpet, and they ask us what they can do to get the cat to stop that. Well, a cat has to scratch naturally. It helps them stretch their paws and their tendons in their arms here, and also helps them shed the dead part of their nail. So if they don't do it, it can actually cause infections inside their nails because the dead part of the nail doesn't come off and it gets stuck up inside the bed of the pad here and can cause some really bad complications. So you want them to scratch, you don't want them to not scratch. And a good way to do that is get a scratch post that's fairly big. A cat wants to scratch up high, it wants to scratch on things to stretch itself. So a scratch post like this already has a toy attached, so it's going to attract your cat to the scratch post. But if you notice that the cat's scratching on something you don't want it to scratch on, so if this little kitten here was scratching on this blanket and we didn't want him to scratch on the blanket, we would pop him on the scratch post, so pop him near the scratch post where you want him to scratch and attract him to it. So you want to get a toy that he likes a lot, and you can see he's already starting to scratch where you want him to because he's being attracted by the toy. So toys are a great way to get your cat to go to the scratch post. If this was an adult cat, you can try a few other tricks as well. Spraying a little bit of catnip or rubbing a little bit of dried catnip onto the scratch post because they really like the smell of that. With kittens, they don't have the sense of smell that's strong enough yet to pick up the catnip smell. So on kittens you can spray it, but they're not really going to acknowledge that it's there until they get to about 6 to 12 months. Then they'll notice the smell and then they'll start scratching on the scratch post. Alright, little one, you're a good boy. So every time you notice them scratching somewhere you don't want them, do the same thing over and over, and it might take you weeks, months, depends on the kitten's temperament or the cat's temperament. Some can be a little bit stubborn, but just keep popping them back where you want them to play.